Days after visiting two communities shaken by deadly mass shootings, U.S. President Donald Trump expressed support for what he calls meaningful firearm background checks. Trump says he has spoken with lawmakers about introducing new measures as soon as possible.
We need intelligent background checks, okay? This isn't a question of NRA, Republican, or Democrat. I will tell you, I spoke to Mitch McConnell yesterday. He's totally on board. He said, I've been waiting for your call. He is totally on board. I spoke to senators that in some cases, people, friends of mine, but pretty hardline senators, hardline, and when I say that in a positive way, hardline on the Second Amendment. And they understand we don't want insane people, mentally ill people, bad people, dangerous people. We don't want guns in the hands of the wrong people.
And today, a summit on violent extremism is being held at the White House. Representatives from the internet and technology companies will meet with senior administration officials, but Trump is not expected to attend. For more on this, we have David Smith. He's in Washington. He's the bureau chief at The Guardian. David, Trump says he supports stricter background checks for gun buyers. Do you believe him? Do you think he'll follow through?
Hard to say, because we have been here before, particularly after mass shootings in the United States. There's that initial surge of demand for action, and Trump himself has often made noises in that direction and held meetings at the White House and allowed the cameras in and made all sorts of promises. And then the momentum tends to fizzle after a few days, and there's certainly a danger of that as we head into the summer. Trump himself heading off a vacation today in Bedminster, New Jersey, and also both the House and the Senate are out. And Trump is certainly resisting demands from Democrats to actually reconvene the Senate to discuss legislation already passed by the Democratic-controlled House to improve background checks. So, there is some possibility. There is some movement, perhaps even on the Republican side, because of the outcry over this. Trump himself, in those comments, as ever, endorsed the National Rifle Association, but said he doesn't necessarily agree with them on everything. However, I think one has to retain a healthy dose of skepticism.
Now, interesting part of that clip, too, is he said that Senate Leader Mitch McConnell, who's a Republican, is fully on board with these changes, the background check legislation. We've heard this before, and it hasn't happened.
That's right. Mitch McConnell has come under a lot of criticism in the last few days for his opposition to reforms on this and many other issues. He's proving a strong ally of Donald Trump in the Senate. The White House has not done nothing. They did ban bump stocks, which turn guns into something like automatic weapons after the shooting at Las Vegas. There's been one or two other steps. So it's not completely out of the question that the sheer horror of what happened last weekend will prompt even Mitch McConnell to make some steps. However, based on everything we know from the past, they're likely to be so small and incremental that I think what you would then hear from Democrats, and particularly gun control advocates, is that this is tokenism. This is a mere gesture from McConnell and the Republicans, and actually America needs to go much further. For example, a ban on assault weapons, which Democrats, after years of prevaricating, are coming around to increasingly.
And what do you make of Donald Trump not attending that summit on online extremism? Does that make any difference, or would he just be bored there?
It's not a great look, in the sense that today he's going to be at fundraisers instead. And so certainly there are some critics in Washington saying this shows the meeting is not a priority for him. It's happening behind closed doors. We believe the usual suspects, Facebook, Google, Twitter, and others will be there. But we probably won't hear much about what's talked about, even though this is such an urgent issue. Obviously, the gunman in El Paso, Texas, posted an online screed on the portal 8chan. I think there are many people, including Tim Cook of Apple, who've said it really is time to crack down and take some measures against the wild west of the internet, where hatred and terrorism can thrive. Facebook alone said in the first quarter of this year they took down 6.4 million pieces of terrorist content.
Wow. So pressing, but not pressing enough to get the Senate back before September. David Smith, Washington Bureau Chief of The Guardian, thanks so much for this.
Thank you.